Most people will never build real wealth from investing. Not because the market is unfair, not because they started too late, not because they did not have enough capital, because they never had a framework. Welcome to the ProfitByFriday.com podcast, where we replace guessing with process, emotion with discipline, and noise with one clear idea every single week. Now, let us get into it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever asked yourself, who collects the fees when baby boomers transfer their wealth? Because that question is worth thinking about carefully. And today, I am going to walk you through exactly what the answer looks like, who the players are, and how the clear framework scores the opportunity. But first, let me tell you about Marcus. When Marcus got the call from the estate lawyer, he was not ready. His father had passed in March, 68 years old, retired engineer, had been working with the same financial advisor for 11 years. The lawyer walked him through the numbers. $1.4 million. Various accounts. One name on every letterhead. One firm, one advisor. Marcus had never thought about it before. He just assumed it would be complicated, that he would need to shop around, compare fees, move things, make decisions. Instead, the advisor called him directly, the same week, offered to walk him through everything, already knew the family, already knew the goals, already knew what his father had wanted to do with the money eventually. Marcus transferred nothing, moved nothing, questioned nothing. And right there, in that phone call, one company made the decision that will generate fee income for the next 20 years. That is the business I want to talk about today. Not the headline stock, not the momentum play, not the quarterly earnings beat. The business that collects fees every time someone like Marcus's father retires, passes wealth forward, and trusts the advisor who already knows the family. Because right now, from 2026 onwards, we are sitting at the base of the largest wealth transfer in human history. $84 trillion. That is the estimated wealth that will move from baby boomers to their heirs over the next 2 decades in the United States alone. Baby boomers still control 51.4% of all American wealth today. The leading edge of the baby boom turned 80 in January 2026. Boomer deaths are projected to rise from 2.6 million per year today to 4 million per year by 2037. And the question that very few investors are asking is not which assets the boomers are leaving behind. The question is, who collects the fee when the water finally moves? Today, I'm going to show you how to think about that question. I am going to walk you through the industry, the competitors, and the business that the clear framework scored as high conviction for exactly this reason. Let us get into it. The industry and the reservoir. Most investors look at wealth management stocks and see a cyclical business. Markets go up, assets under management go up, fees go up. Markets go down, fees compress, stock sells off. Buy the dip, ride the recovery, repeat. That framing misses everything. Here is a better way to think about it. Imagine the baby boomer generation as a reservoir. The dam was built in the 1980s and 1990s, when boomers were in their peak earning years. Salary savings, home equity, 401k compounding, business sales. The water level has been rising for 40 years. In 2026, that reservoir is full. By 2037, boomer deaths peak at 4 million per year. That is when the spillway opens completely. The water has to go somewhere. It cannot stay in the reservoir. Demographics do not negotiate. Now here is what most people miss. The firms that will capture the most of that transfer are not the ones with the best products. They are the ones with pipes already attached to the dam. Every advisor relationship is a pipe. When a boomer's estate moves to an heir, the default outcome is it stays with the same firm, because the heir calls the advisor their parent trusted, not a competitor, not a comparison website, the person who knew the family. Only 23% of Americans currently use professional financial advisory services. The industry managing this transfer is not saturated. It has barely started. Global wealth management assets under management are projected at $160 trillion in 2026 alone, growing at 7.2% compound annual growth rate through 2034. This is not a cyclical story dressed up as a structural one. This is a demographic fact that will play out whether markets go up or down, whether rates rise or fall, whether the Fed prints or tightens. The water is going to move. The only question is, which pipes collect it? The competitors and the return on equity gap. There are 3 publicly listed businesses in the United States that compete directly for these advisor relationships and the assets behind them. Ameriprise Financial, Raymond James, and LPL Financial. All 3 are advisor network businesses. All 3 earn fees on assets under management. All 3 are fighting for the same client relationships, but they are not the same business. Here is the number that changes everything. Return on equity measures how much profit a business generates for every dollar its shareholders have invested. The financial services sector average sits around 10%. Delivering 25% or above is considered exceptional. Ameriprise Financial delivered 54.1% return on equity in Q1 2026. Raymond James, 18%. LPL Financial reported a net loss in Q3 2025, not a revenue miss, an actual loss, despite $4.4 billion of revenue in that single quarter. How does a business generate a 54% return on equity in wealth management? Think of it as a toll road. Raymond James and LPL are constantly building new roads, acquiring firms, onboarding advisors, laying infrastructure, capital going out the door every quarter. Ameriprise already owns the toll booth on a highway that has been operational for 125 years. Every car that passes pays a fee. The road was built decades ago. When the wealth transfer doubles the traffic, the toll booth does not need to expand. It simply collects twice as many tolls. And the stickiness of that toll booth is not based on price. Think about the last time you switched doctors. Not because you moved cities, not because your doctor retired, just because a competitor offered a slightly shorter waiting room. It almost never happens. An advisor who guided a family through the 2022 rate shock, the 2025 correction, and a parent's estate settlement is not being replaced over a 0.1% fee difference. The relationship is the product. Ameriprise has 10,000 advisor relationships in the United States. That is 10,000 pipes already attached to the dam. Compare that to 4 quarters of head-to-head earnings. From Q2 2025 through Q1 2026, Ameriprise delivered adjusted earnings per share of $9.11, $9.50, $10.83, and $11.26. 4 consecutive quarters of acceleration. Revenue growing, margins expanding, earnings growing faster than revenue, which is the signal that operating leverage is actually working. Raymond James had a solid 4 quarters, but at 18% return on equity, LPL had a quarterly loss in the middle of it. One business compounds. 2 businesses are still building their roads. Visit ProfitByFriday.com today. Subscribe free to the Friday Flash, where you will receive one stock fully evaluated through the Clear framework every Friday, so that you know everything about the company before you decide to invest. No noise, no hype, just the analysis that matters. We trade for cash flow. We invest boring to build legacy. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.